start now, and then I can just close down Creative Studio, which is good. Oh, I'll have a look. That's my next thing to do. I will have a look. Alright, stream should be live, I think. Just going to minimize the cameras down. It is, because it's just coming the AML. Hello. You didn't hear anything. Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to. Oh, that is very choppy. I've got to say in the CPU. There we are. Hopefully, it's all fixed. Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to Esports Masters League. We are here tonight for EML F1. It is season number 6. It's round 2 of the championship as we take in, of course, the Monza Grand Prix. Goodness me, I nearly forgot. Italian Grand Prix from the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. My name is James Head. I'm going to be taking to the stream, of course, as always. And joining me in the commentary box, as always, it is Mr. Michael Edwards. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, James. Looking forward to this one. Obviously, we are here for the Temple of Speed, and we know these drivers already, so we already know that they are going to be living up to the name of the Speed, and they're going to be in the Temple. And let's pray for a good race.
Let's pray for a good race, that's for sure. But hopefully better than my race than what I did around here. Honestly, the worst possible outcome that I had in Division 3 of League of Europe. But there we are. I know Java's there in the chat. Hopefully, though, everything is okay with the stream. It will calm itself down. I think it's just the cameras running a little bit dodgy because we ran the adverts before that and everything else. But to remind you, of course, what happened last week, it was Matteo and Sergio, the ET8 1-2. Could call them the GOATs, ET8 potentially last week as well in Spain. Matteo taking the race win, of course, Sergio finishing in second, and Belby in EPL finishing in third as well. Fantastic, by the way, to hear from Matteo and Belby after the race. We'll try and do that again tonight. ET8 currently lead the way on 55 points, and that is a full amount of points pretty much that they took from round 1 of the championship. EPL in second on 33 on their debut in Esports Masters League. Team Chazoo in third, former champions, of course, in EML there in third. WR Esports in fourth on 19, Chazoo on 21. CPI in fifth on 17, then Team TF10 in sixth on 15, along with X Esports on seventh. On 15. Then NLR Esports in 8th and 14. They need to get their act together, certainly. IRT there in 9th and 12. And then LCR down there in 10th on 9 points. And looking at the standings, Mike, ET8 had that fantastic 1-2. It was a bit of a domination drive from Matteo in the end, albeit beat Sergio by 7,000ths of a second in the end. Got very tetchy right at the end of the race. But ET8 did everything possible and maximised their result last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Matteo obviously stayed out longer than everyone else on the first stint, and came in was still able to maintain the race lead, which was incredibly impressive. Obviously, Bell, of course, battling with Sergio for second place, and once Sergio got through into second, it was pretty much plain sailing for the ET8 period. And at the end, as you mentioned, it did get close between the pair, but it was Matteo that came out on top, and deservedly so, I think, in my honest opinion.
Deservedly so. I think I called him last week possibly one of the hottest upcoming talents on PlayStation, and I still stand by that. I think I did about 3 or 4 laps of a moniker on him as if he died or something, but Matteo hasn't. He certainly came alive. Also, last night, which you commentated on the Ultimate Velocity Masters, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. He was there. Enzo was there as well. Matteo not here tonight, though. Enzo is here, and that's going to be definitely an interesting thing to look at going into the grid. And actually, let's have a look at the grid. There has been a couple of changes from when we first did our notes. Luckily, this week, though, I've actually changed the notes around so everyone is in terms of the profile. For X Esports and the Red Bulls is Luca Rapassa and Jeslar. Of course, Jeslar, who featured part of the WR Legacy Division qualifiers lineup. Chazoo Macho and Nick in the Mercedes for Team Chazoo. Then Raphael and Tales in EPL in the McLaren, for EPL. Very good pairing, I've got to say that. Gakowski and Michele in the Ferrari for CPI. Watch out for Michele, could be an interesting one in his home track. ET8 Paul and Ian Van Unen alongside each other for ET8. Ian Van Unen definitely one to watch out for here tonight. Mattolson Neresinho in the Alpines for RCR. Then Marlon and Francesco, former F7R driver, of course, in Francesco there in for NLR this time in the Williams. Enzo and Luca Kart in for AlphaTauri. Don't be confused, by the way, about his graphic or by his moniker in the lobby. He is still apparently a part of Outplayed Racing, even though they closed down about 2 months ago now. IRT Phil and Casper Flack there in the Alfa Romeo for IRT. And then WR represented by Darth FIFA and Caden. Interesting that Caden joining the WR lineup here tonight. But looking at that grid, before we get out on track, beautiful blue skies and sunshine, by the way, out on track, Mike. And looking at that grid, very competitive. Immediately drawn to the likes of Ian Van Unen, Macho, and a previous race winner around here in NLR Marlon.
Yeah, I mean, the eyes draw to obviously a previous race winner around here, Marlon, and obviously can he do it again time will tell. I think this grid is incredibly stacked, so it will be difficult for him to go back-to-back with race wins at Monza. But if anyone could do it, it's going to be Marlon from Everlast Racing. And honestly, an early tip, I think, for me in terms of my prediction who's going to win this race.
Going with Marlon, are you?
Yeah, I'm going with Marlon early.
Interesting. He still hasn't left the pit lane yet, so he needs to get out the track first and then set a lap time, which will be very, very difficult around this track. Honestly, the Temple of Speed lives up to its name. 79% of this lap can be taken at full throttle. I think that got actually upgraded to 80% in real life, if I'm not mistaken. We will see drivers, though, out on track very soon indeed. And as you can see, Macho there out on track. Just trying to pick, actually, who might be one of the first out on track, and I think it's one of the Alfa Romeos. If I'm not mistaken, it is Casper Flatch actually running down the hill in towards, down the Retroposta, the Curva del Savario in towards Ascari. The Retroposta, of course, in Brazil. Casper Flatch there coming in towards Ascari. Francesco Lager just in behind there as well for NLR. Interesting names though, very competitive grid. And Troy, I think, makes a very, very good point actually there in the chat. EML deserves a WR Legacy Division caliber grid, in my opinion. That's how good it is. I completely agree with that, and I'm not being biased towards either of them because I commentate on both.
Absolutely, and I will be biased. Of course we do.
Of course. Casper Flack, though, is coming now through the final corner. Turn the timing tower off on the left-hand side. Running now down in towards the right-hander of turn number 1 at Ascari. I'm just going to quickly close the cameras down. There we go. That should be better. We now run down in towards the right-hander now of turn number 1 with Casper. Coming through the right-hander turn 1 and 2 at Retifidio. Now through Curva Grande, and he's going to get a little bit of slipstream, I think, here from his teammate ahead of him in the Alfa Romeo. Now running up the hill in toward the Curva del Savario. Curva Grande to you and me as now comes in towards the Della Roche chicane at the end of the first sector. 26 flat. I honestly thought they could have utilised the slipstream at the back part of the lap, running down in towards Ascari. Casper, though, now coming in towards the first Lesmo, and we'll see what this time is going to be. Coming through the middle sector, very neatly on the curve there. Now running through the right-hander of Lesmo 2. Now running down the Curva del Savario in towards the Ascari chicane at turns 8, 9 and 10. And we'll see what Casper can do in terms of his middle sector. 52.4 combined in that middle sector. Looking very good. Really taking Ascari. Really attacking Ascari. I rode the curb there and nearly spun in my League of Europe qualifying lap around here. So, Casper at least managed to avoid the curb there, as now comes in towards the right-hander of Parabolica, of course renamed Curva Alboreto after Michele Alboretto's sad passing in 2022, as Casper now comes through the final corner on the run towards the line. Should be around the 19 mark, I think, this lap. It's a 1:18.8, good lap from Casper, and that starts off the night.
And it's immediately pipped by Macho, and immediately pipped there by Francesco as well, who goes clear by 0.3 of a second at front. So, Everlast Racing already cooking in qualifying at the moment.
Definitely so. Macho there second, Casper there in third, on board with Ian Van Unen now in towards Parabolica as well. And he was a 52.3 in the middle sector, so looking quicker than Casper, maybe not necessarily as quick as Macho there in second position. Now coming in towards the right-hander of the Parabolic chicane on the run toward the line, and Ian Van Unen actually goes second, and actually he goes 0.02 of a second behind the XF7R man in Francesco. Ian Van Unen there in second, ex-Veloce Academy driver, of course, and Marlon there, who's on a lap, and he's actually going to get a bit of slipstream, running in towards Curva Grande, and this is seemingly a tactic, I think, by teams early on in this qualifying session, that drivers aren't really taking this. The Williams now backing out on the left-hand side. 26-1 by Marlon. Not really a competitive first sector from the man, of course, who was P3. Virtual insanity back in the day in Season 3.
Yeah, not ideal. There's, I believe, CPI, they're doing it again, the slipstream down into the Della Rocha chicane, and we'll see is Kay Gatkowski, who's on the lap right now, coming through the second Lesmo. As he is about to open, DRS might get a little bit of a long-range tow off the car up ahead, so might just help him a little bit down into the middle sector split as we see what the lap time is going to be here, and it's a 52 flat as we enter Ascari now.
Yeah, looking very, very good indeed. There's a hat off on the grass there to the left-hand side on board with Marlon. Just seeing who that was it. I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, one of the drivers off the track. It was one of the WR boys. Marlon there going 5th with an 18.7. So not a bad lap there at all from him. ETA Paul there going 4th as well. Paul on his EML debut, I believe, here tonight as well. As Gatkowski comes in with a 118.199. I can only think, Mike, he's had a bit of slipstream on that track.
Oh yeah, he absolutely tucked into the slipstream on the run down into Parabolica of the guys that were coming in on the in laps. Very close to actually making contact through Parabolica with one of the cars. Didn't quite get to see who it was, but my God, he absolutely smashed that lap there. An 18.199, essentially an 18.2, but we'll say 18.1 now. We'll get the ego boost.
Tom asking in the chat, by the way, isn't he on pad? I believe he is. I believe Gakowski is on pad. And a 118.1, let's just be honest, Thomas Ronhar's probably looking at him right now and thinking, oh God, are we getting another console cheater? An hour miss here. Not saying Ronhar cheated, by the way. Gakowski on top, Francesco in second, Ian Van Noonen there, currently in third. Harley saying PS5 makes you faster, apparently, and Gakowski certainly seems like he's got a PS5, and he's there in P1. Apologies, by the way, if you have been experiencing a little bit of lag on the stream. My CPU's been running high. It is sorting itself out now. I have just minimised Discord down, so that seems to have fixed it for now. Gakowski out on top, Francesco Largo there in second, Ian Van Noonen currently there in third position. But Gakowski, CPI definitely cooking, like they've cooked in Lexi Division, like they've cooked in EML in the past as well, and they are looking at the top right now. But that also means, Mike, we're going to have to see the biggest teams out there, your ET8s, your NLRs, your Shazoos, going to be riding a lot of slipstream around this track to even match that lap.
Yeah, and I don't think the slipstream down in the Delaware chicane is going to be enough. I think they're going to have to set this up maybe down on the run in towards Ascari, or maybe on the run down in towards Parabolica, and we'll see how they get on there. Of course, the slipstream down the start-finish straight definitely can be utilised well, but I mean, we've seen so many times that with the overspeed, sometimes the Retifidio chicane can get a little bit tricky for the drivers to maximise the speed through the corner. But of course, these guys are of that level where you would expect them to go ahead and maximise through those corners.
Yeah, on board, by the way, with Luca Cott, down in P14, now Team TF10 driver, obviously, of course, Outplayed Racing closing down, 2 months ago, I think now, if I'm not mistaken. Luca Cott, they're down in 14. I'm honestly really shocked he's down in 14, because he should be up there. He's been a PSGL PSF2 driver back in the day. Taller's there in 15th, who ran very close, in fact, in terms of the championship in PSF2. I think that was in season 34. He's there down in 15th. Raphael in 16th. Big names currently. If this was Q1, Q2, Q3 like it was in Lexi Division, these guys would be in trouble right now on a 19-1, 19 flat. And I think the guys on an 18-4 utilise a little bit of slipstream. These guys down in 14, 15, 16, certainly big names to watch out for. Michele there down in 19th as well. Certainly big names that I don't expect to be that far down.
Yeah, but fortunately for them, there's still plenty of time left in the session to get out there and improve on their laps. And I'm sure that's what we're going to be seeing. I'm expecting everyone to be in the 18s at the bare minimum by the end of the session. As I believe Luca Carter about to start a lap right now, heading down the south finish straight with DRS wide open.
Yeah, Michele is just on a lap actually just ahead of him. Coming now through Curva Grande, he's getting a beautiful utilisation of lap slipstream. Of course, slipstream allowed here in EML F1, and a 25.9 in the first sector, fastest out of everyone apparently in that first sector, but it might be because he hasn't had a lap time just yet. He's just in the dirty toe there, coming through the right-hander there of the Della Rocha chicane, now towards the right-hander of Lesmil, then through the right-hander now of Lesmil too, and he's looking pretty good, I've got to say, Michele, in this lap right now. Set that lap time up good through the first sector. Through this middle sector, however, going to be a little bit struggling because he hasn't got the slipstream down this crucial part of the lap. And it's a 52.3, and that backs that up. 52.3 in the middle sector is not too bad, but it's not too quick, especially if you've got slipstream at your midst as well. Now coming through in toward Parabolica, we'll see what he's going to do in terms of his lap time. Eton Evil, by the way, saying, glad I'm injured. I'm glad you're injured as well, my friend. And 18.1 is just absolutely mad. Oh, as Michele nearly loses it, coming through Parabolica. The Italian now on the run toward the line for CPI. Is he going to go quicker? He does. He goes 7th, 18.6. Not a bad lap time at all. But again, I think that utilisation of the slipstream, as Talers there goes second now. Francesco about to come to the line as well for NLR. He's on the run to the line, and he goes into third, and actually doesn't actually improve in terms of his lap time. In Van Noonen down in lap time as well. Gatkowski is still on top, and barely anybody actually getting any toes or anywhere near Gatkowski right now.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, I stayed on board with Luca Car for the rest of his lap. He was over 2 turns down in the middle sector split, and it ended up winning by 3 turns. He did have toe off Enzo down the straight in towards Parabolica. So, I mean, that just shows how powerful the toe can be. Obviously, going from 2 turns down to 3 turns up in the end, P10 for Luca Kart. But honestly, I mean, these guys need to be utilising the slipstream even more, I think.
Definitely so. I think they're gonna really have to use that to really good effect. Enzo's on a lap time right now, man, that you got to commentate on last night. I won't mention what happened in Hungary for Enzo's benefit, certainly, but he's 800th down in the middle sector. Nobody really finding time on these laps in this middle sector. Right in the curb aggressively there, the Frenchman. Of course, the Frenchman who was part of the European Esports Championship winning lineup for Team France. He's there in 5th position right now. Paul there in 6th, Bill there in 7th, Nick there in 8th, Macho there not getting a lap time in. He's down in 12th, Raphael in 14th, and Marlon's only 10th right now as well. With Gatkowski out on top, Talers in 2nd, Francesco there in 3rd, Ian Van Oon in 4th. It's about now, from an engineering perspective, as Jeslar went 6th position there as well, from an engineering perspective, it is all about now, I think, how they're going to have to utilise that slipstream to good effect, because let's face it, on a lap time around this track, Mike, nobody is going to get near to an 18.1, even without slipstream. It's just pretty much impossible. Paul there going 2nd, trying his best, an 18.418. He's still 0.3 of a second off Gatkowski right now. So they need to utilise the slipstream. And from the teams, as Phil there goes 2nd, so they are getting a little bit closer now to the lap times being set. But Gatkowski's still out on top. This is going to have to be game time now for these teams to actually utilise that slipstream, utilise and see what Ferrari are doing, see what CPI are doing, and then utilise that to their effect as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I mean, we're waiting for a lot of slipstreaming down, either in towards Ascari or in towards Parabolica, but I mean, right now the cars are a little bit spread out on track. I think Jazz possibly on return to the pits now, so if you're an engineer, now is going to be the time where you get paid the big bucks, and you're going to have to put both of these drivers out in perfect bit of room so they can give each other full benefit of the slipstream now.
Yeah, definitely so. Evil, by the way, said in the chat, Matteo can. Why is he not here? Why is he not here? We want to see an 18.1 from Matteo. Utilise that to good effect. Eat 8 though with Paul and with Ian Van Oon in 3rd and 7th positions. Not bad going at all from these tracks, from these guys out on track right now. I think Nevesinho is just on a down lap right now for RCL. Luca Rapassa there for X Esports as well, down in 13th position. Marlon there now 4th, but everyone on an 18.4. Phil only the one getting closer right now on an 18.3. But even on an 18.4, you have got to be absolutely Aeon perfect in terms of a lap time to even get close to Gatkowski, even without any slipstream. You get that slipstream, it gains you about 0.3 per second. We could potentially see an 18 flat or even a 17.9 in this session if that is the case. But at this moment in time, Marlon, 4th, PSF1 driver and PSGL, Tales, 5th, PSGL, PSF2 driver, Francesco 6th, Ian Van Oon 7th. The names go on and on further down the field. They're going to have to utilise every amount of experience right now, and their teams are going to have to utilise every amount of experience right now to even get close to what CPI produced with Gatkowski out on top. Phil 2nd, Paul there in 3rd. Jav saying in the chat, apparently rumour has it James had his posters Matteo in his room. I've got a poster of Ayrton Senna in my room, if that makes any difference, from Monaco 1987 and a Sterling Moss from 1956 and a Lando Norris behind me. But I certainly don't have any pictures of Matteo up on my wall. And I certainly wouldn't either.
Yeah, as, the guys are coming out now on the final runs on the outlaps. As I'm trying to see who's furthest along. I think it's a Ferrari, so it'll be one of the CPI guys, and I believe is going to be Michelle B. Michele?
Michelle B. I'll roll with anything, to be honest. He's there down in 11th position. An 18.657. Not looking too bad at all, I've got to say, the CPI man right now. But he made that mistake, coming through Parabolical, of course, on his lap. So if he gets rid of that mistake, he's got a very good lap time potentially on the board, and he has been known to be quicker in the race than he has in qualifying. He's got a bit of traffic coming down in towards turn number 1, gets out of the way neatly, and Michele now in towards turn number 1. The Ferrari has pretty much put that to perfection. Gatkowski now going to get him from slipstream, coming through Curva Grande, but he is going to run into this slipstream a lot quicker, and I think Gatkowski is going to have to pull halfway out, coming through Curva Grande, and that is not good utilisation of the slipstream right there from Michele to 25.9. He's 500 down on what he's had in the first sector. It's now all about the middle sector. Already looks quicker through there, through the Della Rocha chicane, now and towards the right-hander of Lesmo 1, and then through the right-hander again of Lesmo 2. But Michele now has got to gain all of that time back in this middle sector. It's all about him now, not about his teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he'll be hoping there's a couple of cars up ahead, but unfortunately they are not, so he's not going to be able to get any slipstream down in towards Parabolica as he comes through Ascari now, really attacking the inside curb. Fortunately for him, keeping the car in shape as we run down now in towards Parabolica. And what can the CPA driver do as we enter the break-in? It's looking good for Michele at the moment. As to the lane you'll come, and it's going to be a...
Much better. Much better, but it only puts him up P10, now P11, because Luca Cott's just gone third there as well. In the AlphaTauri, there's a Haas coming toward the line as well. I think that's Darth FIFA. He improved by 0.3 of a second. Big lap time there from Darth FIFA. Goes ahead of Tales by 0.4 of a second. He's behind Marlon by 0.3 of a second. And not looking too bad there at all. Tales now coming through the final corner, I think, on the run to the line, and he goes quickest, an 18.150, and that was a utilisation of the slipstream, I think, all the way down the back straight. As Francesco has crashed out of the session through the final corner. He's lost out on the outside curb at Parabolica. Tales there leads the way. Gatkowski in second, but what is Gatkowski doing in the first sector? He's got a lot better slipstream compared to what Michele gave, what Gatkowski gave Michele, and he's 800ths down in that first sector. So Gatkowski runs across the chicane. That is him done at the qualifying session.
Yeah, as I'm on board with Ian Van. I can't pronounce
Ian Van Unen goes third.
Yeah, up to third, and that was slipstream down in towards Parabolica as well.
Enzo not looking too bad here as well, the Frenchman. Part of that European Esports Championship lineup, of course, who won for Team France. They're in P10 right now, 18.502. He's up by 1/10.5 in that middle sector. What can the Frenchman do? Is it going to be Alain Lebleu as he comes towards the line here in Italy? He goes 5th in the end. Enzo, not bad lap there at all, goes ahead of his teammate, who actually set a much more prior lap to him. Ian Van Unen there in third. It looks like Tales for now is the one that's going to be out on top. Raphael now coming through the final corner. He's up by 1/10.5. He should be improving to around about an 18.6 in terms of this lap time. Raphael now on the run toward the line. Is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's an 18.6 in the end. Not too bad there at all from Raphael. He's there in 14, and he's behind Michele. So we've got Michelangelo and Raphael alongside each other. Oh, as Macho just ruins it in between the both of them. The 14th position. It could have been Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the same road grid, but it wasn't. Luca Rapata is on the run to the line now as well for X Esports. He in the end doesn't improve. He was up in the middle sector. Casper down the lap. Caden down on the lap. There's an improvement, I think, as well further up the field. That was from Nick, I think.
Goes up to P4 there. Incredible lap from him. Improving by 2/10. As there was absolute calamities going on in Parabolica there.
There was calamities going on in Parabolica. I think we've got an illegal blocking penalty as well, which I've just been informed about. Not sure who it was. We'll certainly see who it was when we come through to run through the order. But it is Tales out on top. Gatkowski in the end dethroned by only one man in that qualifying session. Just comes to show how powerful that slipstream is around this track here in Monza. Ian Van Unen there in third. I'm very excited actually because I thought Marlon would have been up there. Luca Kart would have been up there. Macho would have been up there. Macho down in 14th. Marlon in 8th. Luca Kart in 7th. Gives Tales and EPL a very good chance to get their first race win in EML this season.
Yeah, incredible bit of teamwork there from the EPL drivers. Of course, Tales gaining the benefit of that slipstream down in towards Parabolica. Really stretching the legs of that McLaren and putting it on pole position. Great job from him.
Yeah, great job from him indeed, utilising that Brazilian flair, I've got to say. He's not like Neymar, but Tales certainly doing a great job there for EPL. EPL are probably going to come in my DMs after saying that. Gatkowski there in second. Ian Van Unen there in third. But again, Mike, look at where EC8 are perfectly poised. They were 1-2, of course, I think, in qualifying last week, or 1-3, something like that in qualifying. I'll tell you when Sergio ended up being 1-2 by the end. They're starting third and fourth tonight. Paul and Ian Van Unen third and fourth. They're in a prime spot, I think, on the second row of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that run down in towards turn number 1 is quite a lengthy one. So let's see if they're going to be 1 and 2 or come the break-in for turn 1.
Definitely so. It is Tallers though out on top from Gatkowski there in second. The Paul nearly pulling off the impossible there for CPI. Ian Van Unen there in third with Paul in fourth. Phil there in fifth. Enzo ran off the top 6, and then it's Luca Kart, Marlon, Darth FIFA, and Francesco Largo ran off the top 10 for NLR. Nick there in 11th with Jeslo in 12th. McCullough in 13th. Macho 14th. Raphael 15th. Madolso in 16th, and Luca Rapassa 17th, Nevesinho in 18th, Caden Conway there down in 19th, and Casper Flack, because he's got a grid penalty, is starting down in 20th. It doesn't even matter that we need a restart. We will not need a restart because he picked up that grid penalty. He's down right at the back of the field, which is good for us because we're going to get straight into the action.
Yeah, and that entire grid separated by 7/10 of a second, James, and that's going to bode well for the race. It's still incredibly closely contested, and in the race as well, it's looking like it's clear skies, but it looks like a couple of clouds in the distance, but it doesn't look like it's going to threaten us in this race.
I believe we did get a full dry qualifying and race, is what Dirk said earlier on in the chat. What we are going to do, though, is transition to an hand break for 30 seconds, and we'll be back with you in the space of 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone, to Esports Masters League. I'm just going to fix one thing very quickly, and that is to put the game capture back in sync. There we are. That should have fixed it. Hopefully everything is okay. Hopefully we're all doing well. And we're going to get racing very soon indeed for EML F1. Of course, with Casper having that grid penalty down at the back end of the field, I don't think we need a restart. And I've probably been told that now in Discord. It doesn't look like we are going to get a restart. Mate has confirmed that. No restart. So we're going to get straight into the action. But a brilliant qualifying session there from Tales. Out on top. A reminder, of course, of the standings coming into tonight as well. ETA out on top. Full amount of points on 55. Then in second, as I'm just going to get quickly the standings up. EPL in second on 33. Team Chizou on 21. WOR on 19. CPI on 17. TF10 on 15, along with X Esports 15. NLR 14, IRT on 12, and RCR on 10. Each eight, though, 55 points to their name, Mike. EPL in second. EPL role reversing from what happened in qualifying last week, and of course took pole position and are looking to take their first race win in EML history.
Yeah, and it'll be great for them to do it here at the Temple of Speed. Such an iconic circuit to take a race win at. And anyone who's anyone as taking race wins here in Monza is really a bit of a stomping ground for these guys out here. Of course, one of the tracks in which you really want to get a race win at some point in your F1 sim racing career.
Definitely so. Unfortunately, I don't think I've won around here in Monza probably since like F1 2016, 2017. F1 24, by the way, let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section. We'll probably have a bit more of a deep dive at the end of the stream about that. So we'll definitely get going with that. But, Mike, are you going to stick to your prediction, Marlon, for the win?
Yes.
Oh, 5 red lights about to go out. Very quick yes there. 5 red lights about to go out here in Monza. And it is lights on, away we go. And Gatkowski has a better start than Tales. And he might even have the lead down in towards turn number 1. He will have the lead in towards turn number 1. Gatkowski will lead. Ian Van Unen gets a good start to the inside line. Into the Retophilia chicane. They're 3 wide in the background. Enzo trying to thread the eye of the needle. Gets through into 4th. Brilliant stuff there from Enzo. Paul there in 5th. Everyone I think is clean through. Never seen you a little bit sideways in the background. But Gatkowski leads. Ian Van Unen there in 2nd. Tales there in 3rd. Paul there in 4th. Enzo there in 5th. We'll run through the tyres and everything very shortly. Everyone, it seems like, on a set of hard compounded tyres. Luca Kart to try and make a move on the back of Enzo. The Team TF10 boys, the 2 TF10 boys even, off there in 5th and 6th position. Phil on the back of Marlon, running toward Lesma 1, and Francesco going all the way around the outside of Enzo, and Enzo in the wall, coming through Lesma 1. That's unfortunate for him, and there's Williams off in the background as well. That's Marlon in strife as well. Marlon's been caught up in that, I think, but Gatkowski leads down and towards the sky for the first time.
Yeah, I was on board with that. Marlon taking avoiding action there on Enzo's car, so going off into the gravel.
Alfa Romeo in the background there. Sorry to cut you off, Mike. Casper there into the back. Oh, sorry, Casper actually got absolutely rammed into. I think that was by Michele, if I'm not mistaken. The Ferrari has definitely got damage on that car, I think. Think it was him anyways. It was somebody. Casper there down in 20th. He's the one there down at the back end of the field. Gatkowski leads in towards turn number 1 once again. Here comes Luca Cott, though, running down the straight. ET8 against what I was going to say is OP, but is actually Team TF10. Luca Cott to the inside line of turn number 1, gets the job done. He's into 4th. Early position gains as Luca looks for the move on the Raphael. In towards turn 1, he gets caught up there nearly by Nick. Nick very late on the brakes there in behind. Looking at the position gains early on, and we'll just flick through to the position gains. Gatkowski gaining 1, Ian Van Unen gaining 1, Francesco, though, gaining 5, passing Paul down the inside of Curva Grande.
I was cleaning around the outside. That was from Francesco, and having the inside line for the Della Rocha King, absolutely fantastic. Francesco up in the P5, but obviously the tyre compounds are playing a bit of a factor here. Both Francesco and Luca Cart on the soft tyres, as the top 3 are all on the hards, as we've got Paul, Phil and Darth FIFA all on hards as well. Raphael currently on the set of softs, trying to close that gap back up to Darth FIFA, and looking to do a brilliant drive on these soft tyres as the EPL man. Let's try and get himself up there with his teammate. Obviously improve on last week's results and try and close that gap on ET8 up ahead in the championship.
Yeah, definitely. So there's so much action, by the way. We're not going to try and keep on board with everything. So we're going to go on board with the battle for the lead. Because Ian Van Unen is very close here on the back of Gatkowski. Luca Cott, though, maybe looking for the move on Tales down in towards turn number 1 as well. We'll switch the telemetry on very soon indeed in terms of battery life, as Ian Van Unen might force the inside line turn number 1. Luca Cott again very late on the brakes, as in the McLaren in front of him as well. Raphael and Luca are going to be going side by side through turn number 1, as is Jeslar and Nick. Nick there to the inside line, just about to defend off the position from Matt Zosa as well. Jeslar getting involved in this as well as they come through Curva Alboreto in towards turn number 3. Curva Grande to you and me, of course. Jeslar there in 13. Nick there in 14. Might not be for long because Jeslar's going around the outside into all the Della Rocha chicane. Never going to work. He can't even fit a car through there half the times. 2 cars definitely don't work. Jeslar's found that out. He actually gets ahead of Nick, and he's actually going to have to give the place up because he's got an illegal overtake.
Yeah, and Matt Zoso there around the outside through the first Lesmo there. That was brave from Matt Zoso, because that's not where you want to be going into that corner. But here we go now, down on the run into Ascari as Caden gets through. Up into P12 goes the Haas.
Up into P12 goes the Haas indeed, looking good on his WR debut here in EML. Caden there down in 12th, the Irishman, the young Irishman. As ETA Paul there has left the session. Mike, can you try and fling him an invite back in?
I will do my very best.
Here comes Ian Van Unen on the back of Gatkowski while you do that, and he's actually rejoined straight away. Tales to the inside line of turn number 1 as well, and Gatkowski's gone from 1st to 3rd in a matter of 100 yards down in towards turn number 1. Luca Cart on the back of him as well in 4th, Francesco there in 5th. Ian Van Unen, though, has got the breathing room out in front. Tales there in 2nd, Gatkowski there in 3rd, Phil there fighting Paul's AI, Paul there down in 13th, Caden's off, I think, coming through turn number 1 as well, and Enzo has been caught up in that as well. Enzo was the one that spun. I think Caden had to come across the track, if I'm not mistaken, might have just picked up a warning, so he's got away with it, but he's down there in 17th position. Unfortunate for the Irishman. Ian Van Unen, though, leads. Tales there in 2nd, Gatkowski there in 3rd. Baz saying in the chat, what are those standards? I completely agree. The standards of driving definitely far beyond what we expect here at EML so far. Drivers have got to be put on alert right now because I'm not happy. Mike's probably not happy. You guys aren't happy in the chat either.
As Darth Eva having a little bit of a weave down the straight in towards Ascari. Obviously, Raphael directly in behind him. See, that could have ended badly. I know you want to indicate to a driver that you're not happy with a certain move and that, but it's a bit too close right now for comfort, in my opinion. Speaking
of close for comfort, Gatkowski was right on the back of Tales there. Nearly re-rendered him there in towards Parabolica. Tales now under Ian Van Unen now under pressure from Tales, and Gatkowski, because of the closing speed, might have to go for the move as well. Ian Van Unen, I think it'll just be fair to let these two go, and he does. Tales there into the lead, Gatkowski into 2nd, Ian Van Unen there in 3rd. They are doing what I like to call trail braking and a lot of DRS training around here as well. Tales there leading, Gatkowski there in 2nd, Ian Van Unen there in 3rd. You've just seen now the telemetry flick up on your screen. Ian Van Noonen there's got 92% of EOS there in third. Gatkowski's got 92, and Tales has got 67. So right now, advantages with the Aston Martin, the former Veloce Academy man, in Ian Van Noonen in terms of the battery. Luca got on 90, Francesco on 87 as well. So everyone bar Tales has got around 80% plus in terms of their battery. Gonna suit them very well up until the pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one guy in this lead train that's very low on ERS right now, and that is Phil. I just caught him on board with him. He's on 40% right now.
He is on 40% indeed, and Paul there in behind might utilise that to good effect. Running down the straight as well. Marlon on the back of Raphael, looking to try and get the job done. Running down towards Parabolica, and he's desperately going to have to try and get this job done, because he could fall out of slipstream range to Darth FIFA, and Darth FIFA in turn, I think, is out of slipstream range to Luca. So that is good for Marlon, but it now puts him completely on the back foot because the car ahead is outside of DRS. Marlon's only going to be catching a quicker car ahead. As Gatkowski now looks to the lead, in towards turn 1. Paul's going to be on the back of Phil in towards turn 1 as well. And they go line astern as they go through turn 1. Paul there looking to the inside line, bit like Hamilton and Verstappen in 2021. And in the end, unlike Verstappen ending up on the top of Lewis Hamilton, Paul there in 8th position ends up losing a position to Luca in the end, which funny enough is a Red Bull.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that just did not work for Paul. He tried to hang it around the outside to have the inside for the second part of the chicane, but it's just the gap was always closing there, and it's just unfortunate for him that he got pinched in between Phil and the curb on the inside.
Yeah, definitely. So it was either that or run across the sleeping policeman on the inside and then get potential floor damage, potential rear damage on the car as well, like a rear diffuser damage, and then end up falling down through the field. Speaking of falling down through the field, Darth FIFA now losing position to Marlon. He's there into 9th position. The German, of course, finished P3 for Virtual Insanity in Season 3 around here. First season, by the way, in my notes. I will get them up in a second in terms of who won around here. Gatkowski leads the way, Tales in second, Ian Van Noonen in third as we go on to lap 7. It is very hectic right now in this commentary box because Tales on the back of Gatkowski, Ian Van Noonen on the back. We're not going to get hardly a break in, I think, in this race, Mike.
Yeah, and that's the way we like it. As Tales goes up into the race lead, as Ian Van Noonen is just sitting in behind, saving that battery up, waiting for his moment to pounce on these two up ahead.
Yeah, 100% of ERS is Ian Van Noonen, so you've got a full amount of battery. If you're brand new to Formula 1, you're brand new to EML and don't know what ERS is and don't know what DRS is, I'm going to take you on a whistle-stop tour on this lap as Gatkowski looks at the inside of Tales there toward the Delaroche chicane, doesn't get the job done. I think there was a bit of strife there from Enzo further down the field as well. Sorry, from Matt Zoso even. He's lost the time there to Enzo down in 17th. Tales there leading the way. Gatkowski in second. Let's run on board with Ian Van Noonen and let's hope he actually uses a bit of rear wing to his full effect. I don't think he's going to be close enough, but you can see the rear wing popping open there on the back of the car. That gains you about 20 mile an hour extra at this track here at the Temple of Speed to run down. Marlon is going to be a perfect example because he looks to the inside line now, using up that battery, using up that DRS as well. He's nearly forced Paul off track there, but that was brilliant driving actually from Paul to avoid that incident. Marlon there in the end gets Soonies into 8th, but at what cost? Because they've now lost the DRS train as Nevesinho was out coming through Ascari. He's been caught up with a Haas of Caden Conway, and that is a VSE.
Yeah, and interesting for the soft winners now. Do they jump into the pits? And in fact, that answers the question has been answered already. Tales and Luca and Francesco all in. Same with Luca Rapaza as well.
He's surely not going mediums for 19 laps almost around here, is he? He is. He's going for a set of medium compound tyres. Now, in my experience around here... And Luca got into the pit lane there as well. Williams getting a double stack, by the way. Marlon's going to lose out completely on that. Francesco there in 6th. Marlon now behind Darth FIFA after him retaking that position. Safety car now deployed out on track, which is good for everyone that has came in the pit lane. Not great news if you've got Gatkowski, Ian Van Noonen or Phil, because you're going to have to come in the pit lane this lap around. So Tales, Luca and the likes might have the advantage here.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Of course, the race was somewhat neutralized before the safety car came out, so maybe Gatkowski and Ian will be able to survive losing too many places here. But interesting to see so many of the drivers on a set of the medium streams.
Very interesting. He caught me having a drink there. Very interesting on a set of medium compound tyres. Tales, Luca, Francesco. I think now that they've timed this, it's pretty much perfect, I think, for these guys, from a safety car perspective, to have this under a set of medium compound tyres, because they can now get to the end of the race. My concern would have been, if the VSC had ended, they'd just come out the pit lane and we got back to green flag racing, they would have had to utilise those tyres up to good effect, and then in almost, we would have had 2 races in one, with Gatkowski, Ian Van Noonen and Phil. We're now coming in the pit lane. We could still have that, though, because everyone's having to stick for Delta time in behind. These front 3 could end up being the first 3 in the race here, coming out of the pit lane. It'd be very interesting to watch. But no, on a set of medium compound tyres, I think they will get to the end of the race now. My only concern, they're going to be about 60 to 70% worn, even, at the end of the race. And in fact, Mike, looking at the top 3, they are going to be the front 3 coming out of the pit lane, because there is Tales, there is Phil. Phil is going to be miles ahead down in towards turn number 1. I say that, he is catching, but he is ahead.
Yeah, and that's big for Phil, of course. I believe he was down in P6, P7 before the pit stop phase, so jumping out a fair few spots here is the IRT man.
Yeah, IRT man definitely up there. I know Jav was saying to me earlier on he was practicing with the IRT boys. Felt like Phil potentially would have had a good chance around this track. Wanted to try and get a realistic setting when they were practicing as well, which is really good. And Phil there in 3rd position is in a prime spot. We've got Gatkowski leading the way for CPI, E8 in 2nd with Ian Van Noonen, Phil there in 3rd for Alfa Romeo and for IRT, Tales in 4th for EPL, Luca Cort in 5th for TF10, Francesco 6th for NLR, then Luca Rapazza in 7th for Red Bull. The front 7 drivers right now are all in different teams, which is what we like to see.
Yeah, and I just caught something a little bit interesting. Obviously, Casper still on a set of the 7-lap old softs. Hasn't come into the pits yet. I assume he'll be in at the end of this lap to change over. Obviously, you'll only lose the 1 spot, and that's to Macho and fall to the back of the field. But how much do you think that'll benefit Casper just having that extra lap or 2 fresher tyres on a couple of these guys up ahead?
Well, I will be honest here, Mike. I think Enzo's trying to purposely slow him down, leave the safety car. Enzo wants to get another lap out. Casper, I think, wants to be put back potentially and get onto the back of this train, because he might actually still go out there and expect then a later safety car later on. But Enzo there in 17th position. I'm not sure if he's having to stick to a Delta. There's no safety car coming in this lap. Enzo, I think, 12.8 seconds. That gap was about 9.5. So Enzo, I think, is just slowing down, potentially to that. Maybe Luca can't come in for a fresh set, but he's come past the pit lane. He's now coming through the final corner. We are watching this, by the way, Team TF10, if you are watching on the stream. We are watching this from our POV perspective. And there, Casper does come in the pit lane. So for all of that, Enzo has now put himself and Macho back completely against the grain. He will catch now the DRS train, don't get me wrong, but I don't like that, personally.
Nah, I mean, I don't like that either. I mean, there's, I mean, I've experienced it in racing myself. What's called when someone just backs off the safety car a bit too much, and you're like, what are you doing? I get you wanted to stay out an extra lap, but come on, let's just get back to racing.
Yeah, I'd rather see racing. You guys at home would rather see racing as well. And while we've got Casper coming out of the pit lane there on that set of medium compounded tyres, it's now time to give you your history lesson for the day as well. In EML history around here, we've only been here twice in the past, Season 1 and Season 3. Season 3, first and foremost, more modern. LFR Tim, formerly OP Tim, now part of God knows what team. I think it's CPI, if I'm not mistaken. Tim there won for LFR Esports. Romaninho was second for Formula Campionato, FBR. And in third, Marlon for Virtual Insanity, which I referenced earlier on. And in Season 1, how about this throwback in EML history? Kazizzle took the race win. You would have thought he was in Team Chazoo by then. No, he wasn't. He was in FRL Esports. FRL Esports and Kazizzle taking the win in Season 1. Kreiser there in second for Customs GT in second, and Garassi for TTG Esports in third. So there is your history lesson for the day. Kakowski on top, Ian Van Noonen in second, Phil there in third. Only been here twice, Mike. Third time now going to be a charm, and we are going to get a third different name on this Roll of Honour.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, going back to Season 1 as well, as you mentioned, Obviously, you know, I mean, if I was there back in season 1 at that point, I would have been up there. But it was a bit too late to join the party and a bit too slow.
I mean, to be fair, the last time we did come around here in Season 3, Colonel Mason did pick up a podium in F2, so at least you can brag about that.
I disconnected.
You were racing in that race, weren't you?
I was on for a good, I think I was on for like a top 5 finish. I disconnected and it was like, oh no.
What, was I on commentary that day? I think I might have been, actually. I think I might have been. Comes to show how old we are in the commentary box, by the way, now that we're talking about Season 1 and Season 3. As Gatkowski has left the session! Gatkowski has left the session from the race lead! And everyone now, this is the worst possible scenario. I hope he can join back very, very quickly and take control of his car before we come back into racing conditions. It's going to be a very much thing. Mike, if you can get an invite out to him, that'll be brilliant. But everyone now at this point, if he's not to come back, everyone's going to have to stick behind and basically a ghost. And they're going to have to go at the AI's pace, which luckily is set to 90%. But there, look. Ian Van Unen passing. This is going to cause absolute mayhem. Gatkowski is slowing down. This is what I feared. Gatkowski got back going again. Ian Van Unen second. Phil there in third. Unfortunately unavoidable with that disconnect from Gatkowski, but this is going to cause absolute hell.
Yeah, absolutely, and Gatkowski, I can't invite you for some reason. It's not giving me the option to send an invite out.
He's going to have to hurry. Gatkowski there leading. Ian Van Unen, by the way, had an illegal overtake on Phil in all of that as well. So that safety car procedure definitely going to be looked at. Everyone's going to have to go at the AI's pace. Gatkowski now will lead down in towards turn 1. And now we get back underway. And Ian Van Unen is already on the back of Phil. He can't overtake him to that start-finish line. But there goes Tales passing Ian Van Unen just as the safety car line comes. And now they're 4 wide in towards turn number 1. 5 wide in towards turn number 1. What on earth is this? Tales leads the way into turn 1, just about getting through there, Luca Cott and Ian Van Unen. They're now side by side. Phil and Luca Rapazza side by side. Gatkowski dropping throughout the field. I'll try and get an invite out to him very soon indeed. But they nearly went 5 wide down in towards turn number 1. Absolute madmen out on track. Tellers leads. Luca Cott in second. Ian Van Unen in third. Ian Van Unen not giving up the position toward the Della Roger. They just about get through. Just about on the gravel there. The Aston Martin. They fight their way through. Francesco on the inside line takes full advantage. Thuney's into third. Tellers now escaping up the road as they come through Lesmel 2 once again. And Luca Cott gets the position ahead of Ian Van Unen. Brilliant battle that. I know they were on the gravel, but that is racing right there. Tellers in the lead. Phil in second, Francesco there in third, Luca Cott and Ian Van Unen producing as much action in 1 lap's worth of action as I think we've had all race.
Oh, see, absolutely incredible stuff right there, James. I mean, all these guys battling tooth and nail, and Charles has a 1 second lead. So, I mean, the AI really did cause a few issues there on the restart, and that just caused some absolutely incredible action.
Yeah, definitely so. I am lagging a little bit, so I do apologise about that on my end. Paul on the back of Luca Rapazza to try and get the job done. And towards turn number 1, they're going to have to be very careful here. Paul now going to try and get around the outside of Luca if he can. Luca to the inside line there on Ian Van Unen, trying to get the job done. He's doing his into 5th. Luca there in 6th. Paul there in 7th position. Not looking too bad there at all. But it's Tales that leads the way. Phil there in 2nd. Francesco there in 3rd. And still they go side by side through Curva Grande. This time Jesler around the outside of Raphael. Around the inside now of Darth FIFA. Brilliant stuff by the Esports man. He was part of that qualifiers lineup for Esports in Legacy Division. But my God, this guy's got talent. Jesler Thuney's into 9th and has made Darth FIFA made to look like an absolute mug. He's just been Johan Cruyff turned right there.
Absolutely incredible. I'm going to do my best to try and get Gatkowski back in as quickly as possible. So I'm not actually on the screen right now to look at the game. I'm trying to get him out as a friend so we can send him an invite ASAP to get back in. Because right now, I mean, his AI has dropped all the way down to 16th, but there's still a lot of race to go. So if he does accept the friend request ASAP, then I can try and get him back in.
It might just be potentially a real disconnect that he's had on his end. It might be the internet going kaput. You never know. But these days, of course, these guys are racing at home. Things outside of racing can happen. And you never know, Gatkowski might have just had to leave the session. Michele, though, his teammate on the back of Raphael. Raphael on the back of Darth FIFA. And Darth FIFA now going to be mauled. Darth mauled down and towards turn number 1. Michele tries to go all around the outside on both of them. Never going to work. Darth FIFA and Raphael now forcing each other on track, leaning on each other slightly. And because Michele backed off that, he now gets the job done on Raphael as a result. And now, Michele and Raphael, the two Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles out on track, may go side by side through Curva Grande for the McLaren and the Ferrari. Just about going to remain in the line of stern formation. Michele there in 11th, Raphael there in 12th. Good racing between them both, and Gatkowski is luckily back in the session.
Yeah, unfortunately, did drop it down a lot of places. Unfortunately, for some reason, I wasn't able to search his name. But if he did add me as a friend, then I would have been able to send the invite quicker. So if anyone does have a disconnect, and you don't have me as a friend, add me ASAP, and I will get you invited back ASAP.
Jav at least knows what I'm talking about, by the way, in terms of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Never heard of Michelangelo and Raphael? Yeah, there you go. Back to your childhood.
I mean, what about Donatello and Leonardo? You left them out.
Well, we haven't got a Leonardo and we haven't got a Donatello here. Would have been very good if we did. On the back of Tales in towards turn number 1. The IRT man passing the EPL man down in towards turn number 1. Very neatly done indeed. IRT Thurnies into the lead with Phil. Tales there in 2nd. Francesco there in 3rd. Ian Van Unen, I think, also getting the job done on Luca Kart and all of that as well. And Michele and Darth FIFA definitely don't want to leave each other alone here tonight. They're there in 10th and 11th position. Out of the ERS, out of the DRS slipstream, to compare to Jeslo and Paul behind, in front even. Raphael now on the back of Darth FIFA, and he could maybe get the move down in towards the Delaware chicane. I don't think he's going to get the job done this time around. Everything now a bit calm out on track. Phil leading the way, Teller's there in 2nd, Francesco there in 3rd. 38 review, by the way, tuning in. If you are liking the stream, like, comment, subscribe, tick this notification bell if you're brand new to the channel. And if you are brand new to the channel, why don't you give us a follow on social medias, and indeed check out our sponsors, Rising Lines and Next Level Racing, both of which you can see in the description, and both of which will be getting advertised at the end of the stream as well. Phil there leading, Tellers in 2nd, Francesco there in 3rd. Better go on to lap 16 out of 27. And at this stage, Dirk has made a very interesting prediction, saying Ian Van Unen will win this race. Frank saying Phil and Ian are in a good spot. Tibb saying Tales will win it. I am going to go completely against them and say Luca Rapazza is in a good spot on that set of hards.
I was about to say, Luca on those hards, they'll come good at the end of this race, 100%. And obviously with these mediums, they're going to be absolutely in agony coming to the end of this race. But yeah, as you mentioned, Luca in a great spot as well. I mean, I feel like I have to stay true to my pick here, and I'm going to stay with Marlon as Ian Van Unen gets through on Phil. Lovely little overtake on the exit of the Retafilio chicane.
Yeah, nicely done by Ian Van Unen. Thurnies into 2nd, utilising all of that experience, I think, that he made up in Veloce Academy, in league racing as well. Nick there to the inside line, and Raphael getting the job done there as well. And Nick now splitting the two Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as Caden Conway, I think, has spun coming through the Delaware chicane at turn 5. So he's there down in 18th position, getting that car back going again. TF10 Enzo and Strife further down the field as well. But it is Tellers that leads the way. Ian Van Unen there in 2nd, Phil there in 3rd. At this stage of the race, the front 5 seem to have it between themselves, but now everyone's in a big old DRS train. Do not count out Luca, Marlon, Paul, Jesdar, all in that DRS train. That split has happened between Darth FIFA and Michele. Possibly impossible, unless we get a safety car or a VSC, which stacks the field up. I think that's now an impossible gap to try and rein in, unless they absolutely go hell for leather and break loose on each other. And speaking of breaking loose, here comes Luca Kart on the back of Francesco. This has been an interesting battle between them both in the past here in sim racing. They've had their fair share of incidents in Legacy Division, and now they go side by side towards turn 1. And Luca Kart tries to go around the outside of Phil as well. Very unintentional, this move. If he tries to pull this off, I'll give him a 5 myself, but he's not. Luckily, I keep the 5 to myself, and Phil there into 3rd. Luca Kart in 4th, Francesco there in 5th. That was unintentional. He just broke so far out late compared to Phil and compared to Francesco in behind him. He broke so far late. I thought he was going to get the job done there, but in the end, Luca Kart in 4th, and I think possibly better to remain there.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was breaking too far late or Phil obviously reacting to obviously the battle up ahead and just anticipating a little bit of side-by-side action there, so breaking slightly bit earlier. But yeah, I mean, Luca almost able to pull that off in the Retafilio, which is absolutely incredible. stuff right there as Francesco loses out again. As we got Towels over the back of Ian now for the race lead. And this is where things are going to get interesting now. As these guys are approaching 10 laps on these tyres. At what point do we look at Luca Rapaz's Heart as being the better tyre?
I think, honestly, in terms of my notes, I've got it here, medium to 16 laps, optimal 12 to 13. So probably in about 3 or 4 laps' time, you'll really begin to see those mediums going off. And here comes Luca, speaking of which, on the back of Luca Kart, which is going to be very interesting, and on the back of Francesco Largo, which is even more going to be interesting. And Francesco now tries to make it too wide, in toward the Rettifield chicane, up the inside line. Luca tries to get the switch back on them both, and now the Red Bull in a perfect posse to try and get the slipstream running through Curva Grande. I think Luca Kart will remain in P4 for now. Francesco there in 5th, Luca there in 6th, but Luca tucking underneath the rear wing of the Williams, coming at the Williams now, down into the Delaware chicane, not going to get the job done, waiting behind, and now Luca Kart all of a sudden is in a bit of strife, as is the guys in behind, because he's just bordering, teetering on that second gap right now. Phil there in 9/10 of a second inferior to Luca Kart. Luca got back within DRS this time around. If that was another 10th, Mike, I think he would have been out there, and that race could have been over between everyone in behind.
Yeah, I mean, the only one at that point I think that could...
Sorry to cut you off. Marlon was side by side there with Luca, going down the inside in towards Ascari. Got the job done.
I was about to say, the only one that I think that could possibly could have reeled that gap in if it did go over a second would have been Luca, but it would have been once the mediums start to fall away, which of course, as you alluded to, in around a few laps time, as we're lap 18 of 27 here, as we just go into lap 19, sorry, as Marlon now overtaking Francesco up into P5. My pick's coming through, James. My pick's coming through.
Your pick is coming through. By the way, if you wanted to see me having a prediction at the start of the stream, oh my god, there's 3 wide and towards turn number 1. I will back off my prediction in a second. As there it goes around the outside. Nick on the back of Casper Flack. Casper Flack there trying to get all the flack on that Alfa Romeo out there with that rear wing. And now tries to get on the back of Nick in towards Curva Grande. Nick just moving across there slightly. Moving across again. Casper's going to be ahead going into the corner. I think the Alfa Romeo will remain ahead. Nick's going to try and hang on in there. There's a mistake from Darth FIFA right in front of them as well. Casper just about gets through with his life intact. Nick there in behind as well in 13. Gatkowski and Raphael not too far of this battle either. And remember, Mike, of course, top 19 all get points. So every single position is a point to play for. As Marlon now, speaking of which, is coming through these into 4th. He's definitely held on to those tyres well. My pick, though, if I was to go for prediction, luckily the father had like saved me, I would have said Ian Van Unen for the race win.
And obviously that's not a bad shout. My pick's slowly coming back into this now and getting himself involved at the front end. Kigakowski, since rejoining the session, has managed to get himself back up in the P13 as we've got Nick and Raphael there banging tyres as Raphael there going off into the distance, dropping down the order massively as I would make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pun, but I feel that you know, it could be a little bit splintered.
Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible. Macho there in 14th. Nick there in 15th. Mazzoso there in 16th. Macho there getting the job done, though, on Nick. Team Shazua having an absolute shocker here tonight. 14th and 15th. In a lineup that I personally thought one half of the lineup was going to do very well. That was Macho. Nick I really haven't commentated on, so I can't really describe how he's been doing in the past. But Nick there down in 15th. Team Shazua definitely up against it, considering they had a good amount of points from round 1. Definitely going to be on the downfall in round 2, it seems. And it seems like ET8 are going to be taking the full advantage out of this race, along with X Esports and along with NLR right now. So they are the teams to watch out for. Tala leading the way from Ian Van Unen there in 2nd. Phil there in 3rd. Jav saying in the chat, please move Mike for the rest of this race. I wish I could, but I can, but I won't.
Exactly, Jav. Hold that.
And speaking,
here comes Marlon on the back of Phil now.
I was going to say, speaking of your pick, here comes Marlon on the back of Phil, down in towards Terminal, but I think everyone is just now gearing up for this final thrust. Ian Van Unen will not go for this move on the back of Tales, neither will Phil, neither will Marlon. They're now playing a high-stakes game of poker, high-stakes game of chicken out on track, and it's whoever blinks first basically is going to lose this race. At this moment in time, lap 21 out of 27, it's perfect for battery deployment and perfect for saving up your battery actually as well. Tales at the minute in the lead of the race, 91% going into the Delaroche chicane. Ian Van Unen second, full battery. Phil third at 92%. Marlon fourth, 50%. You have to use up a lot to try and get into the position that he's in now. Begs the question, is he going to be under pressure later on in the race? Luca Cart in 5th, 52%, same as Francesco, 46. Jeslo on 51, Luca on 63, Paul on 84, so he could be one to watch out for. And that's the top 9 in terms of battery right now. So it seems like, at the minute, my pick right there, Ian Van Unen, is not looking too bad. As Marlon likes to try and get the job done on Phil. But with that ERS, 52% compared to Phil on 82%. Marlon's got 30% less right now than Phil. That's troubling at this stage of the race for me.
It is, but also Marlon's been using a little bit to try and get through the field as well. So you'd expect some of these guys a little bit further behind to have a little bit less. We've got yellow flags in the background. And yeah, Nick has gone around. And what drama would it be if we got another safety car?
Jeslo and Francesco going side by side, coming through the Retophilia chicane as well. Luca right involved in this battle as well, but the split could potentially happen here between Jeslo and Francesco. These guys fight, coming through Curva Grande. Jeslo and Francesco side by side, inches apart as they now come through in towards the Delaroche chicane, and I think the Red Bull's going to hold the line. He holds the position. Jeslo through his into 6th. Francesco losing that position down into 7th. Great battle that between them both. Jeslo definitely showing why he is a former PSGL PSF6 champion back in the day. He was a bit off track there though. Francesco looking to the inside line, probing for the inside line, now running down the straight. He's got the speed as Jeslo away from the corner, so it will remain in 6th position for now as Ian Van Unen leads the way. Tales in 2nd, Phil there in 3rd, Marlon, Luca Cart, Jeslo, Francesco, Luca and Paul top 9, Michele and Gatkowski 10th and 11th, Casper Flack, Darth for Macho Matt's also top 15. Since I've said that, Raphael's now past him. Enzo in 17th, Caden in 18th, and then Nick right down in 19th position after picking up what seemingly looked like front wing damage from that spin at the Delaroche chicane down in 19th position. Here comes Tales on the back of Ian Van Unen for the race lead. Is he just going to hold tight as Enzo has crashed through Ascari? And that is a safety car!
And that now throws an absolute spanner into the works. Ladies and gentlemen, rub your hands together. We are about to get a few short laps of racing. I don't think we're going to have DRS as well to the end of the race. So all these guys are going to have to do it on pure straight line speed. No DRS to help them. And everyone now is going to be elbows out.
Let's just face it this way, it's not EML without a late safety car in Monza. I'm sure we had this in Season 3 as well, where we had all hell breaking loose. That was on F122, this is on F123. Ian Van Unen leading the way, Tales in 2nd, Phil there in 3rd. I have no shadow of a doubt that everyone is going to be coming in for set a soft compound tyre. Even if that means double stacking in the pit lane, you're going to have to do it and come in for that set a soft compound tyre. Drivers that I think mightn't, however, Casper down in 12th, Luca in 8th, Macho in 14th. I don't think they are the ones that are going to be coming in this pit lane. We could see Gatkowski staying out there, Ian Van Unen and Phil maybe as well. If I was a betting man, I'd probably say they're going to come in for set of soft compounded tyres. But, as Murray Walker once said, anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does.
Absolutely, and we're going to see if they are going to flood into the pit lane now. Lap 23, about to begin lap 24. Yeah, everyone is in. And now, this is going to get a little bit interesting in the pit stop phase, because of course, all the cars are coming in.
Oh, Gatkowski's staying out. CPI are taking full advantage. Gatkowski is staying out, as is Michele, as is Casper Flack. As I predicted, Casper, on those fresher set of mediums, definitely going to hold out there. This is now what I think is two Dutchmen. No, actually, a Pole, an Italian, and a Dutchman. It sounds like a very bad joke, but I am going somewhere with this. Against the rest of the field on much fresher tyres the rest of the field at. It's a bit like now the peloton catching the front of the pack in the Tour de France. It's a bit like that, or in the Giro d'Italia. It's a bit like that. Gatkowski, Michele, Casper are now going to be absolutely done for, it seems, in terms of position out on track. This safety car comes in this lap, Mike, which I don't think it will, but if it does, these guys are utterly done for.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a safety car out for at least another lap. Obviously, we got Nick down towards the back. He's definitely going to be closing up. Uh, Not going to get to the back of the field by the time the safety car comes to the end of sector 2. So, yeah, we're going to be here for another lap. Big gamble right now from Kigakowski, McAlee, and Casper here. Obviously, staying out on those mediums. Ian Van Unen, obviously on those fresh softs, going to be one to keep an eye on. Tales, Phil, Marlon, they were all gearing themselves up for a fantastic battle for the race lead, for the race win at the end of this race. But right now, not only do they have to contend with each other, they also have to get through 3 drivers that will rate their cars as wide as possible, not to mention the teammate of the CPI pairing of Kigakowski and, of course, Michele, as those two are going to work together. I can assure you of that, to try and hold on to this 1-2 for CPI.
They're going to have to work with, albeit, a driver in behind as well in Casper. I think they're going to have to try and sacrifice Casper just for that fresher rubber. If I was in CPI shoes, I'd think about maybe doing a bit of tactics then towards turn 1, maybe boxing Casper in and then the rest of the field can't get through. Something like that. Could end up being like the Rockingham track days Top Gear once did and the Alfa Romeos. It is quite similar to that, is what I'm going to be going with on this final lap of the final 2 laps of this race. Ickle making a very good point, by the way, in the chat. They have nothing to lose staying out. If they pitted, they'd be at the back still. Makes sense to me. P2 will try and hold the pack up most likely, which is pretty much what I've just said there in terms of my in terms of what I've just said. Gakowski leading the way, Michele second, Casper there in third. They're gonna basically CPI are gonna have to sacrifice Gakowski for the rest of the field. That's what's gonna happen here.
You mean Michele?
Yeah, no, sacrifice Gakowski into the race lead because everyone else will be catching on the softs.
Also, another interesting one. Obviously, Phil currently in P6, Casper up in P3. Could have some IRT teamwork going on as well in that little equation as well. So Ian Van Unen and Tals will have to be on high alert here as the safety car is in this lap now, James.
And all I'm going to say now, welcome to the wacky races, albeit at the Temple of Speed. Gakowski leads the safety car into the pit lane. Now, the safety car will lead the pack into the pit lane. Gakowski, though, is the virtual Burt Malander. He's now the virtual safety car. Like Stretcher's done in the chat, get your popcorn emojis in there. Get your popcorn out. Get to the edge of your seat. It's going to be 2 very hectic laps. We're going to end up losing our voices by the end of these 2 laps, I guarantee you. But Gakowski could actually end up bringing Nick actually back into play right at the back of the field. Just seeing Nick there catching back up. But Gakowski now is about to say go. But when is he going to say go? Well, right on board with Michele down in towards turn 1 on board with this restart. And now he goes. Gakowski goes and Michele catches a bit of a half spin. And Casper now is right on the back of him in towards turn 1. So this has not worked out. This has worked out good for Gakowski. But Ian Van Unen is already on the back of him. And he's already got a better toe as well. He could be getting boxed in here. The Aston Martin parting the Red Sea. Deep on the brakes in turn number 1. Nick is out of the race further down the field. But Ian Van Unen trying to hold in there. It's like a car parking towards turn number 1. Gakowski's won this race for sure. Surely. Gakowski leading the way. Marlonslooney's into third. Ian Van Unen there in second. 1.3 seconds. But now they've been put on the back foot. It's Gakowski against the rest of the field. Ian Van Unen in second. Marlon in third. Casper in fourth. And there to the inside line goes Phil as well. And Phil's through on Casper. Casper holding everyone up like an absolute treat. Gakowski though leads the way. It's him against Ian Van Unen. Against Marlon and Phil. It seems like for the race win. As there's a pile up in behind. Luca Cott catching wide. They're just about joining on track on Jeslar. It's hard to keep up. But Gakowski leads. Ian Van Unen though is right on the back of him.
Yeah, and what we got right now is your pick, my pick, all our picks are here. As we come to the closing stage of this race, who's going to be Mystic? Will it be Mystic Mike? Will it be Mystic James? Who will be right? Let us know as we're about to approach the final lap of this race, as Kigakowski is still in the race lead, but for how much longer? As you see the grip advantage that Ian has.
Oh, it's contact! Makes contact with him on the rear end, actually, coming through Parabolica. He's going to be just about line astern ahead. It's a drag race down in towards turn 1. The final 4.5 kilometres of the race at the Temple of Speed about to begin. And Ian Van Noonen speeds off into the distance. He goes for the race lead. Gatkowski at the worst possible part of the track. Marlon is going to have to get past Gatkowski, whether he likes it or not, coming through Curva Grande. But Gatkowski's got the speed off the corner, and Marlon is only going to be catching a shadow coming in towards the Delaware chicane for the final time. Ian Van Noonen seemingly looks like he's got this for now. The ET8 man out on top. Gatkowski holding up Marlon, an absolute treat. Marlon's done for. Marlon's been held up coming through the Delaware chicane. He's trying to desperately fight his way through, but Gatkowski is trying to fight his way into second position, and he's still holding up Marlon. Marlon is going to be getting so frustrated. I don't know what's going on in the background, by the way. Jeslar off, Raphael off, don't know what's going on in the midfield. Marlon though going side by side down the straight. He's going to have to wait until Parabolica to get this job done, and that could bring IRT Phil potentially into play. Marlon might not even end up on the podium out of all this, but Ian Van Noonen, my albeit late pick, is going to win this race here in turning towards Parabolica for the final time. But here comes Phil on the back of Marlon. Around the outside goes the Alfa Romeo. Is he going to try and hang on around the outside? He does. Could he get Gatkowski as well? It's going to be a drag race to the line. Ian Van Noonen will win. Gatkowski's held up for second. 3 wide across the line, and Phil gets it. Phil gets it for second by 300ths of a second. Marlon in third. Gatkowski in fourth. 43 hundredths of a second between second to fourth. Absolutely phenomenal racing through the final corner. Marlon somehow gets a podium. Ferrari ends up without a front wing, and Gatkowski coming across the line in fourth. Mad ending. All of that glossed away by Ian Van Noonen taking the race win. Casper gets, in the end, driver of the day, all about the in-game fans. Ian Van Noonen took that race win, and that was all because, Mike, Marlon got held up, basically coming through the Delaware chicane, and that was game over from there.
Yeah, absolutely, and Ian getting the move done into the Retafilio was absolutely crucial for him, and yeah, a well-deserved race win for the Aston Martin.
And we've got 2 Germans on the top of the podium as well, alongside the Dutchman who tops the podium. Of course, it is that man, Ian Van Noonen, the ET8 man, former Veloce Academy man. You knew he was one of the biggest names coming into tonight. You certainly know his name by now if you didn't already. Ian Van Noonen takes the race win. As the champagne flows, the interviews will flow as well very shortly. We'll try and get the top 3 in like last week. Ian Van Noonen, though, taking the race win. Fantastic win from his perspective. Gives him a lot of good confidence because he has had a bit of wretched form recently in other leagues. And Ian Van Noonen this time tops the lot. And ET8 a 2 out of 2 in terms of race wins this season. They're going to be very hard to beat. Phil there in second for IRT. Fantastic job for him. As I say, 300ths of a second between Phil and Marlon. 1200ths of a second between Gatkowski and Marlon in the end for fourth. Brilliant ending. Tales would have been wanting that battle to go on even longer, coming across the line in fifth. Luca Kart in sixth with Paul in seventh. 1,000th of a second, by the way, between Luca Kart and Paul for sixth and seventh. Matcham in eighth, then Casper in ninth. Dolph FIFA ran off the top 10. Then Michele in 11th. Luca, Francesco, Jeslar, Raphael top 15. Matt Olsel 16th. Caden Conway in 17th. Nick ending up, I think, retiring out of the race there down in 18th. And then right down at the back end of the field were, I'm just trying to see because it is scrolling through, Enzo and Nevesinho right down at the back of the field, both DNFing out of that race. My goodness me. We'll try and get the cameras back up very soon indeed. They should be coming up, I hope to God, very soon. There we are. We're just about lagging. We can probably see us now. We are here now on the cameras, and fantastic race that, Mike, in the end. And it was that man, Ian Van Noonen, albeit my late pick, but he takes the race win.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was an incredible race win from he and Nate to take it on the last lap. Obviously, those soft tyres came in clutch, but that overtake so well timed as well, and you just saw what happened to Marlon, obviously getting held up behind Kei Gatkowski, who was not going to give up without a fight, and very nearly got that podium in the end, but absolute fine margins between second, third, and fourth as they crossed the line. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, very incredible stuff indeed. May saying in the chat that stewards are on holiday this week. We're going to be on holiday after this week as well. That was just an utterly unreal ending in terms of that, albeit very aggressive. I don't know what happened in the midfield. Definitely going to have a look at the Steward report, I'm absolutely sure, after that. But what we can do, hopefully, is try and get the top 3 in. I'm sure Mike will be sending a message over to them right about now. But what we can do, though, of course, is look at the calendar of what is to come this season. And if the drivers thought, well, we might be hungry for more, they've got Hungary next week. Round 3 of the championship, 6th of March. Gonna be interesting. I have done a number of races around there on this game, and actually I've commentated on a number of races around this game cycle as well. Hungary normally a very good track for racing, so we should see hopefully drivers behaving themselves and hopefully not getting dive bombed into turn 2 like they did last night, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I was watching a Hungarian race last night, and let's just say there were some talking points. Let's just say like that. There were some talking points.
There was definitely some talking points indeed. Marlon is going to be joining us for an interview. Phil is going to be joining us for an interview as well. I believe if we go into... Do you want to join the interview room now?
Yep, I'll just allow him know to join the interview room as well. No, Ian, no, unfortunately, is not available.
Mate, he normally isn't. Ian, I would have liked to hear from my Ian Van Unen, but in the end, no, we're not going to be getting them, unfortunately. Right, I'm going to join the interview room now. Might lag on the stream, so I do apologise, but we've now both joined the interview room, and hopefully we'll be joined in due course by the guys, of course, who won at least 2 out of the top 3 in terms of the race. May saying in the chat, great comms. Tib saying amazing comms as usual. Go and follow Tib, by the way. He did F2 by himself. Very difficult job. Apparently, he said earlier on as well, F2 had a very good final couple of laps, which I'm going to catch after these interviews. Hopefully, we will see some really good racing out on track next week, though. But Hungary, obviously, being that track. And then we've got Mexico, and then we've got Circuit of the Americas as well. Going to be a really interesting time. Really interesting time for the racing here on the PS side. We've also got the PC side coming up on Sunday as well, which Tib referenced, of course, on the F2 stream. And, of course, those guys are going into Hungary, going into round 3 of the championship as well. So, PC side as well as PS side, Hungary should have some good racing, surely, going into next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Hungary is one of those tracks where overtaking opportunities are not plentiful, but it does bring up an interesting strategy, of course, wherever you go for the undercuts and just timing potential overtakes down to a T. It has to be said. And honestly, weather conditions can also play a part at Hungary, which, it can get a little bit spicy. Sometimes it can rain without going into intermediate tyres, which is what I experienced last night.
Volakongan coming to my mind and PSF1. Marlon certainly definitely knows a lot about that race because he was in it, I believe, in season 33 in PSF1. And we have now been joined, as I've just referenced there, by Mr. Marlon Youngblood and the man who finished, of course, in P3. Apparently Push to Talk is on, which is a good thing because we can't hear him right now. So we're going to have to play for time.
Yeah, Marlon, if you go into your settings, have a look, see where your push to talk button is, and what's called, then you'll be able to use that then to chat to us.
If not, Maze, you're going to have to get Mystic Mike on the case here.
Right, Marlon is on the phone. Okay, right now. Don't worry, guys.
This is going to be tricky.
I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm not going to lie. Right, so here we go. You got a Welshman working technology. This could go very good or very bad. Who knows?
Probably go, hopefully, very good. That's what we're praying for anyways. While we play for a little bit of time, and while we try and get Marlon sorted out in terms of the technicalities of things, we should obviously see the rest of the calendar as well. We've got, of course, break week on the 27th of March for Easter, and then it's Baku. Whoever's through in Baku, round 6, I hate you. I really do hate you. Bahrain in round 7, then Jeddah round 8, which is a very, very good track on this game. Singapore round 9, and then Abu Dhabi in round 10 of the championship on the 1st of May. And what we can actually talk about, though, Mike, of course, is F124. While we've got a little bit of time, while we try and get Marlon sorted out, F124 has been announced, obviously. It was rumoured to be announced yesterday, which it was about 4 o'clock, I think, in the UK. And honestly, on the face of it, we're not getting that much in terms of a new game. We're getting an enhanced career mode, which for normal sim racers is pretty bad because nobody's going to play career mode anyways. And then we've got the whole new handling dynamic, which for sim racers like us, going to be very good to see how that obviously progressive. I know they've got progressive technology that they've been using, perhaps a new game engine as well in Unreal Engine potentially as well. So we could see some enhanced graphics and enhanced handling. But on the face of it, Mike, that announcement very disappointing yesterday.
I unfortunately haven't seen the announcement as of yet, but of course, from what you say, I mean, yeah, in terms like from the sim racing aspect, I mean, not much for us to go on right now, but obviously for the casual gamer, all the content creator side of things, it's a little something there for them so far.
Yeah, very good. I think they held a community creator day, if I'm not mistaken, during last week, I think it was. And in the end, I think F124, it's been, I know Jono Upmia was there, I know TML Malik was there, I think Arava was there, I think Maxime was there, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And on the face of it, I think it's hopefully a pretty good thing to have. And obviously for the guys here in the interview room, we'll get to Phil and Marlon very shortly. Phil, I know for a fine fact, will probably have the same issue as Marlon does. So we're going to have to try and do double time in terms of speaking. But let me know, guys, in the chat, 15 of you in the chat, let me know what you think F124, what your biggest hope for of F124 is. And if that includes the Masters League coming back, then I'm all for it.
Just give me a moment. I am trying to see if I can find out what the thing is on the phone. So I'm joining on my phone at the moment.
No worries at all. Darth FIFA mentioning in the chat, getting a little bit of reaction actually coming through the Discord. Darth FIFA saying qualifying was his biggest struggle. Gakowski saying he's been a rubbish qualifier all of the time, haven't got pole for at least a year.
No.
Oh, as apparently
Hello
we
there.
can now hear Marlon.
Good evening.
There we go. I think we can also hear Phil, if I'm not mistaken, as well. That silence is deafening. I like that. I like that. Anyways, we'll get to Marlon first. Marlon, of course, finishing P3 out on track. You were Mike's pick coming into tonight as well, so at least you weren't picked by me. But P3 out on track. Talk us through that race because it was pretty topsy-turvy.
Yeah, it was a chaotic race. Starting P8 wasn't optimal. I mean, we planned to do slipstream, but then Francesco DNF'd in the last corner. I was up 1.5 tenths to Ascari, and then WOR driver was in my way, and he really distracted me. So I totally missed my apex on Ascari and throw away like P4 or something. So it was not ideal, but I knew I can make a place in the race. Yeah, then the start, I was able to gain like one position or something, then had a battle with Phil into the chicane. He squeezed me a little bit, then I squeezed him a bit, and we like had a moment where I couldn't turn because I was in his wheel or in his car, and then I slightly pushed him off, but it wasn't that much. And then Enzo spun in Desmo 1. I had to avoid the car and yeah, went onto the gravel. Lost like, wait, I have the clip here. Yeah, back to P14. And then with my setup, I was able to gain a lot of positions until the safety car was deployed. And yeah, until then, the race was quite okay. I knew the pace is there. But yeah, the last safety car was tricky, of course, with all the guys pitting onto new softs and the guys that stayed out. Yeah, had a battle with K-Get there in the end. Was a bit on the limit of hard racing, I would say. And then the finish, the photo finish with Phil and Gatkowski was yeah, quite intense in the end. of course, I wanted a P2, didn't get that, but I'm still really happy with P3 after last week.
Yeah, P3 was a phenomenal result. Obviously, from your perspective, last week didn't go according to plan. NLR definitely didn't get as good a result as what I think they could have done last week in Spain. Obviously, P3 here. Talk us through that final lap of the race and that 3 wide coming through Parabolica, because I honestly was in commentary and going absolutely mental coming through that part of the lap. It was unreal, and in the end, I think you lost out on P2 by 300ths of a second. Have we lost him?
Hello? Yeah.
There he is.
No, all good. Yeah, I was hoping that Gatkowski is gonna stick his nose into the inside of Ian, so they go side by side to turn 1 and turn 2. That didn't happen. Then Gatkowski was really slow because it was all tires, and I wasn't quite able to overtake him. In the end, I was, of course, after Parabolica. But yeah, it was really intense. I was saving a bit of energy for the exit of Parabolica, but then Phil was alongside me, so I couldn't get the best line through Parabolica. And then he had just so much more speed and overspeed because he had the outside, so he could finish in second. GG's to him, by the way. Amazing performance from him. Yeah, I mean, coming in today, I wasn't even thinking I get P3, even especially after the qualifying, which was terrible. But I only had 1 hour to prepare for the race, so yeah, it was okay in the end. I'm happy, and I take the points for NLR.
Yeah, definitely. So NLR definitely going to be jumping up the standings in terms of the result as well. Not your first P3 around here as well. You picked up one in season 3 for Virtual Insanity. Remember that back in the day? Yeah, I do because I think I was on commentary that day, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously you finished third then, finished third again. NLR going into third race of the season in Hungary. What's the expectation going in from an NLR perspective?
Yeah, the expectation is always like a top 5 finish for both cars would be good. That's always the target. I won't be there because we have better drivers for the track. But I know that the guys that will drive will make an amazing job and will get the points we deserve and we need. And yeah, let's see. I think we have a really exciting season ahead of us.
Yeah, very exciting season ahead of us as well. We will get Mike in for some thoughts. Mike, any questions?
Just the one. Obviously, in that middle stint, you alluded to obviously making the overtakes now coming through. Was that purely down to the setup that you had, a good race setup, or was it just building the confidence early on? Because you did start off a little bit slow and you kind of build into the race. Was it a confidence thing, or was it just pure setup at that point?
I would say a bit of both. I mean, after the the thing in lap one with Enzo, I mean, I could only lose the positions, but I was confident from the beginning because I knew I will make up a lot of positions in the race. It was a bit setup as well. I had a really good setup for today. Let's say a bit of both, but yeah, in the end, I was quite fast on the straight. Let's say it this way.
And what's called the early incident, obviously you taking avoiding action to avoid end. So I was gonna reference that as well. Is that a bit of a heart in mouth moment as you come through the first Lesmo?
Yeah, of course. The main problem is he ghosted just as I was avoiding contact, so I could have easily go through him. But I made a lot of negative experience with the ghosting system, so I rather go off track than in the end maybe crash into the car or something. So of course it's a hard pill to swallow, for especially in the beginning of the race. But in the end, it all turned out just how it should be.
All right, lovely stuff. Back to you, James.
Yeah, that is all from me for Marlon. Marlon, go and enjoy your evening.
Yeah, thank you, you too, and thank you for commentating as always.
You are very welcome indeed. And hopefully now, because he's figured out the push to talk, we can now speak to the man who finished in P2 in that race, and it is Mr. IRT Phil. Phil, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Oh, just about.
You
You're
are very
very
quiet.
quiet.
Oh,
We can turn them up manually. We can turn them up manually.
I can turn them up to full volume. Hopefully we can get the volume sorted.
Is it better now?
There we go.
Yeah, we can hear you a bit better.
That's
Alright.
a lot better. That is a lot better indeed. P2 out on track, Phil. Must be very happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially after last week, I just wanted to finish a clean race. But getting a podium or even P2, definitely did not expect that. Surely lower wings had me out there. I mean, I was running 9.9, so I was pretty quick on straight. Yeah, but especially after last week taking taking Tim out, unfortunately, being on the podium was unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely so. Obviously, the final stage of that race was absolutely crazy. I don't know how on earth you got P2 in that race. But talk us through that safety car period just before, because obviously we had Gatkowski leave the session, cause absolute chaos in the first start. Then we had the second safety car right towards the end of the race. What was going through your head mentally in terms of the final couple of laps? Was it just focus not being killed by other drivers around, or was it just focus on getting a good position?
Yeah, I mean, it's very unfortunate from Kaget to being kicked out of the session or something. Yeah, I mean, Monster always late safety car. It's always tricky. Like people will attack you, but at the same time, you try to attack, but you don't want to dive down the inside of turn one too much. But if you're getting attacked, it's hard to do it. But in the end, the low wings helped me out there. Could just pretty much sit behind, I think. But I think did I get dive down of turn one? I don't know. If I'm being honest, I don't really remember much from the race because nerves were kicking in, and but really great race. Yeah.
And honestly, coming through the final lap of the race, coming through that final corner, you're pretty much 3 wide on the exit of the corner. What was going through your head? Were you thinking, oh God, I'm close to a P2 here. I need to really push this. Or was it just, I'll just take the result, whatever happens?
I hope that I'm not gonna crash, especially with the NLR guys. Like in the past few weeks, I've always been into incident with them, mainly because of me. But I mean, going into the Parabolica, Kaget made it pretty difficult for me because he just moved over for the racing line, and I knew that Marlon was on the inside then, but I just couldn't get past Kaget then because I couldn't dive down because I was pretty much sandwiched. But then the gap opened up on the outside. Also, he was on 15 lap old or 16 lap old mediums, me on 3 or 4 lap old softs. Grip was just incredible. Like going 3 wide over the line is unbelievable. Uh, I've heard Marlon saying something about the incident, the chicane in the first lap. Um, like into turn one, I already got dived and got completely pushed off the track and lost like I think 4 or 5 positions. Was down to P8, I think, or something like that. And then the same thing pretty much happened with Marlon. I definitely gonna have a look back at this, but if it's my fault or his fault, we will figure it out. But in the end, was just a little bit too close. Like I was off track with 2 wheels, had grass and gravel on the tires, but still managed to keep it on track. In the end, it worked out. Everything, yeah.
Yeah, all worked out in the end. Plenty of love being shown for you in the YouTube chat as well. Jav saying he's your #1 fan. We love you, Phil. We do. The chant going on there from Jav as well. Steban saying in the chat, Phil, my man. Frank saying Phil has lost. Talk us through how IRT have helped you in terms of a team, because I know there's plenty in there, and if you don't say something good about them, you're getting sacked.
Well, pretty much IRT. We might not be the strongest team. I mean, we are quite a small team, but like there's a little family bond. We pretty much have what's the word? We spend a lot of time with each other online, like playing other games too. So the bond is definitely there, and definitely I always had to pace, but because of IRT, I definitely have had the opportunity to race in such competitions like EML. Last season, F2 was already a great season, but now F1, we did not expect to fight for podiums like Spain. Pace-wise, there was a podium for us also, but to do it now in the second round also is that's definitely not what we expected, but we take it. It's a great team. I just love being there. It's just probably the best time I have in the game for the past 5 years.
Yeah, I love community teams as well. Even the smaller teams, like CPI, for example, another great example out there of just being a fully bonded community. Always good. And that's what we're in sim racing for. Let's just face it. For the community, for the passion of motorsport. It's as simple as that. And great words there on IRT as well. Mike, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
Yeah, obviously, huge performance for IRT tonight. Obviously, with Casper also getting into the top 10 along with yourself on the podium. Where do you see IRT potentially finishing by the end of the season?
Honestly, that's a really hard question. I mean, pace-wise, we do fight for podiums as of now. But seeing the other drivers, like we have Macho, we have Unen, like NLR definitely is a better team compared to us, drivers-wise. Like it will be very hard, but I think we aim for like a top 4, top 3 finish. I mean that would be optimal for us, but I think we would take a P5 or P6 also. I mean expectations for such a league is not too high as of now, but we're building up. We're getting there.
Yeah, and of course, I do have a lot of love for IRT from way back in the day as well, racing against you lads. And yeah, honestly, it's absolutely incredible. Like the progress that this team has actually made over the past couple of seasons, it's absolutely incredible to see. So I hope you guys continue this fine form and obviously continue up the order. And I believe with a result like today, definitely will jump you up the standings a fair bit and may it continue, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Today's result was pretty good, especially with Caspar. Like I think he started P20, getting to the top 10 is very good. He played. He was pretty much the best teammate to us for today. Uh, I mean, yeah, he gave me perfect slipstream in qualifying and also in a race. He pretty much helped me getting through at the end, especially. Yeah, which ultimately, without him, I probably would not have finished on the podium even. But yeah, great result.
And
Yeah.
that is what it's all about. Great teamwork. James, back to you.
Yeah, fantastic result for IRT. Fantastic result for you, Phil. You as well can go and enjoy your evening.
Thanks a lot. You too.
You are very welcome indeed. And that rounds us off very neatly, of course, for tonight. And indeed for this week's action here in. I was going to. PSGL was on my mind there. For EML. It's because I've said PSF1 quite a lot in this stream. It gets on top of me. EML, of course, for round number 2 here in Monza. Round 3, of course, is going to be coming up very soon indeed. A reminder, of course, of the calendar going forward. Drivers are going to be hungry for more. They're going on the 6th of March to Hungary. And a track, Mike, which honestly produces some absolute crackers of racers or can produce some real howlers.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those tracks, and it's all depends on the grid on the day and how Hungary decides to treat everyone. I mean, we could get a absolute cracker, as you mentioned, or we could get a dull, boring race where no one can overtake, and uh, it's a bad one. It's a bad one at times, but I'm looking forward to it.
Let's hope not. Let's hope. And I'm going to put a prediction in now. You can earmark this for a week's time. I hope there is rain in next week's race. There we go. Weather gods, be amongst me. Hungary round 3 of the championship, then it's Mexico and Texas rounds 4 and 5, then break week on the 27th of March, then we've got Baku, Bahrain, Jeddah, Singapore and Abu Dhabi. Remember, F2 for EML is on at 7 PM UK time, F1 at 8 PM UK time as well, both on Wednesdays, and of course on Sundays, you've got this to look at as well. Pretty much the same calendar, if not the same calendar. Races at 7 o'clock, of course, for the PC Championship, round number 3 in Hungary, and that is going to be Joshua Griffin Meek and Mr. Deathlink himself going to be taking to the action, of course, on the PC Championship. Go and wish those guys well on Sunday. We are going to sign off here. We really hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, tick the notification bells, of course, if you're brand new to the channel. I can't be bothered to get the cameras on, but a big thank you to our sponsors, Next Level Racing, for this lovely chair in the background, which you can just pretend that I'm pointing at right now, and also for Rising Lions, who, in fact, actually, we can just thank them ourselves, because I've just realised we've got the graphic for each of them. Next Level Racing, and indeed, for Rising Lions, of course, for their contribution and support, of course, for EML Season 6, and without them, EML simply just wouldn't run without the funding and without the real greatness that they put into the championship, the real prestige that they put into the championship, and hopefully their continued support will be going on to F124 as well. We are going to end off here, though. We're going to be seeing you, of course, next week in Hungary, but for myself and from Mr. Michael Edwards, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.